Good morning, sweetheart. Claire, hey.
Hi, Rosa.
Sander, Lientjen, hey.
Rosa, good evening. Hey, Claire. Nice to see you both.
Yeah, I'm very happy. Like always, just to be together with you and chat. And now with Claire. Yeah, sweetheart. Let's start with let's share stories. Stories over stories. What else? I love it. And I would say I'm curious about how you in a way got to know about so-called non-duality, no separation. How did you came to this? Actually, I saw it the first time in Xander's last or before Zoom, Tuesday Zoom.
That was where we met, wasn't it? In that
Yeah, it was the first
thing.
time I saw you. Yeah.
But I think I saw your videos in Sander's meetings before, and I really resonated with what you were saying. I first came across it. I think it was Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now, which I read when I was about 19, and it kind of just explained what I'd always known. And I just thought this was common knowledge.
What exactly? What exactly?
This sort of the understanding that there's no disconnection, the understanding that we're not separate, this sort of total unity, this love, the kind of deep. It's a feeling that people put into words, and I'm obviously not doing a very good job right now, but people put into words in such a beautiful way. And it could be, through music, even the way people express this in words. And, Eckhart's book is one example. And actually, Rosa, what you said in that video is another example. And some people just seem to resonate with you, like they speak your language, even though it's not a language, which is why using words to try and describe the language is always going to fail. So it's sort of like an energetic connection that sort of seemed to happen, I guess is the only way I can describe it.
Okay, so with Eckhart, yeah, Eki. I call him lovingly Eki. I totally like, he's so sweet, so cute. Also the way he's explaining and making jokes, the grinning. I actually also like everyone, I guess, read some things, and I can remember I had those panic attacks, and I had this small booklet, Stillness Speaks. I wanted to improve my English, so I bought it in English to read in English. And this was my safety thing. Like when a panic attack arose, I just took the book and I was just like, okay, something was there. I cannot remember what was. But I remember he was talking about the pain body. I love this. And also, you are not the thought. It was new for me. Like, you are not because for me it was normal. Like, of course, for me it was always like I'm everything. In this sense, no separation was always like, if I put it in words, it was always like I'm always everything. So how can I not be my thought? And there was in a way at the end there was no issue with anything anymore. No matter of a thought, no thought, panic, no panic, it's the same.
I think you've mentioned something so interesting, actually, which is that we sort of try and fight when you read these sort of spiritual books, and they seem to be a kind of saving grace, especially when you do it when you're quite young. You tend to have this idea that, we've got to not be thinking, we've got to, the thoughts are, like you say, the thoughts are part of what is. And it was someone in who was it who was saying it? It was in the Michael Jeffries Zoom meeting, and someone said, it was actually, I think it was Michael who said it. He read something on Facebook which said, it's okay if you're still thinking, it's okay if you're not there yet, that's okay. And it's almost like that permission to be still seeking, that permission to like not be whatever this is. There's that real, I've still got these thoughts that are coming into my head, what's the matter with me? And I think that's sort of, I think what you're saying, it's okay to have the thoughts as well, even though it's lovely not.
Well, I'm not saying it's okay to have the thoughts, no matter what's happening, seems to happen, that's it already done.
It's just a new thought that it's okay or not. It's okay
there
to
is
have the
simply
thought
no,
or not, it's
there
just
is
a new
simply,
thought.
exactly, there is simply no okay or not okay.
So I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
when it comes to thought, you know, like loving or resonating with the thought, it's okay to still have thoughts. It's just another thought. It's not, you know, there's nothing more to it, I would say. And even that is just another thought, that there's nothing more to it. It's all in a way like mental crisscross.
Oh, I love it.
So
Mental crisscross, I love it.
it's not about seeing that you are your thought or you are not your thought. That's just more thought claiming that there's a you being thoughts or no you to be not thoughts. It's just one side of the coin, you know. There can be a genuine idea I have to get rid of my thoughts, as there can be a genuine idea I don't have to get rid of my thoughts. Both is equally just simply what seems to be happening innocently and effortlessly. It's just another thought claiming there to be a problem with thoughts or no problem with thoughts. It's all allowed.
You guys are so funny to talk to, because I sort of think, well, when are they going to get to a clear point? There must be, because it's beautiful, that everything's okay. And there's this sort of constant paradox, but there's never a point where either of you get stuck on anything. You know, I don't think I've ever heard either of you say, well, this is the truth, you know, everything,
Oh,
well, it
no.
might be the truth, it might not be the truth. It's this sort of constant dance that you seem to have, but it somehow makes sense, even though it seems like it shouldn't.
Yeah, if I were, I mean, there is no truth in the absolute way, you know, to get stick on, you know, but even
In order to have a
truth.
truth, you need the opposite. And there is simply no such a thing. It's just like, yeah, but Claire, sweetheart, back to you. Tell me about a little bit, or tell us about what you think is interesting, like what you did or interested in, being curious about. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really interested in the therapy side of it. I'm very practical. This is a lovely story I'm telling you guys now. I'm very conscious of that now. But I I had a chat with a chap who runs the IFS group IFS is Internal Family Systems, which is a type of therapy. It's about parts we have. We were talking about anger earlier, Rosa, and you know the sort of maybe the angry part of us, you know, the part that we might call the monster, the part of us that's more reserved, the part of us that's, you know, more social perhaps. There's all these different parts of us that we have. And the idea in IFS is that there's no bad parts. And there's a sort of integration of all of this together in one whole sense of self. And non-duality is kind of the same thing, because what we're saying is that everything is okay. And then I was having a chat with someone earlier today as well, who has practiced as a therapist, and he was saying to me that, you know, it's all okay. It's even though you feel that there's this kind of energy in you, it's there, it's fine. And that, so there's almost that kind of, how do we link therapy in the sense of the things we might feel ashamed of? You know, how do we encourage people to say, actually, that's okay, there's no bad here. There's even though you might think it's bad, that it's sort of all acceptable. So my interest in non-duality is really to bring it into the world of therapy, because I think you guys know I'm a psychotherapist, and kind of, how do I practice in that way without pathologizing people, without listening to their stories of suffering and agreeing with their stories of suffering? How do I kind of stay in that space of total disidentification, hearing the story, but not allowing myself to believe the story? That's kind of what I'm interested in doing.
Okay, so it's cool. So you, in a way, how is it after the sessions now? Because it's changing, of course. Like 2 years ago, it was different than now. Do you, in a way, improve into this, like taking it easy? Of course, no one is taking it easy, but now maybe having 3 sessions a day, so cool, like forgetting, yeah, okay, cool, you know, easy going with this? Or is it quite hard to hear some stories and they're in a way coming up?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great job being a therapist because if you haven't healed yourself, this will do it for you, you know, because everything the client brings, you know, if there's any resistance to it, you take that to supervision, you work through it, and you realize that there's a part of you that hasn't healed yet. So you almost take, everyone's a mirror of yourself. So when you meet a client that you
Yeah.
find more challenging, what is it in their story that means that you haven't healed something in yourself? So it's very rare that a client will tell me a story that I resist. I've got a client who's a policeman and he's told me all sorts of stories about what he's seen in his job. And it's almost as if I'm kind of I'm there with him, but there's no sort of buying into the story. It's not emotionally affecting me so much. You know, the emotions are there, the feelings are there. I've got a friend who talks about the difference between feelings and emotions. You know, the feelings are there, but the emotions aren't as much. So I think emotions are more reactive. Feelings are just natural. You know, if somebody tells you something that's very sad, you're going to feel sad. But it's not, it doesn't affect me. There's no kind of, there's no sort of resistance to the story so much. So yeah, I think over time I've become a lot more able to be distant from the story and not get kind of caught up in it and not feel like I need to change anything. But there are obviously those times of sort of almost like friction when somebody says something to you and you're, you know, I think we all get that in our daily lives if we still sort of are not totally in the flow. I think there's always, and you read it on Facebook, maybe you read someone's post and you get all angry and you write a cross reply, you know, that's an example of it where there's something that isn't completely flowing into you. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I love it.
But it's nice that you guys are interested in this as well, because I know it's nice that you
I was like when I was in a way suffering, this was the thing I resonated the most. Just hearing one guy saying, "What's wrong with your emotions?" No matter what it is. That's it. And I always knew it's simple, whatever this means, it's simple. There is, of course, nothing that is simple, but direct. Let's put it like this. Direct. So why not my fear? Why not my anger? And there's no problem with saying my. And then in a way, it's full on. Then after this, it was just like full on. There was no, and this directness, Rosa is not anymore able to jump into the fear, into the anger. There's just the fear, just yeah. And this was what I loved. It's like, as I say, follow your highest excitement. And this I call therapy.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why I love it. Beautiful.
I'm waiting to see if Sander wants to say something. You don't, obviously you don't have to. I just feel like I don't really like talking.
Well, what's there to say?
You're killing me, sweetheart. What's there to say? Well,
Come on, tell me a story about something, or I'm gonna have to.
A story. Well, I mean, I love, this this so-called interest there, trying to, apply non-duality into teachings, which is in a way just a paradox, because as far as it seems here, there is nothing to teach. There are, if anyone has seen the meetings, I don't know if I ever give any instruction where Terry maybe gives, it's about instructions. But at the same time, yeah, I love it, because this passion, this passion which seems to arise there, which seems to happen to help people, in a way, it's already non-dual. It's already just simply what it is, the love to help people and the trying to integrate something as if there is something which can be integrated in something else. At the same time, it's so beautiful to see, and I always enjoy, when you we connect on the chat, and then besides sending pictures from cats and small films, sometimes we have a discussion, and I love it, you know. Yeah, it's just beautiful. This passion to help people, for whatever reason or no reason.
For no reason, for no reason. It's just what's coming up.
Well,
Like,
let's say, of course, you know, as you maybe know, I'm not so much into the absolute statements in that way, that we can say there's no reason, but there can be an appearing reason, you know, there can be a so-called reason to help people. You know, there is a reason. It's not that there's no reason for this. I mean, that's just one side of the coin. I mean, there can be many reasons to help.
I think what you're saying, though, Sander, is really important, which is that you don't want to be helping because you think that there's someone who needs your help, or there's some sort of need in you to do anything. Because I think that comes from quite a sort of frustrated energy, that comes from a place of, well, it's not all okay as it is right now.
Yes, exactly.
Which is understandable, because we look around and we see the state of the world, and you would think, well, of course, you know, why wouldn't you feel frustrated and angry, you know? But it's that kind of balance of being actually totally okay with all of this and being like, okay, that's fine. But there's also that natural urge to help that comes from that place of acceptance.
Exactly, because it's not that, you know, so everything is as it is, you know, it's okay how it is or how it seems to be, but it doesn't mean that help cannot be given, you know, when a neighbor, for example, is coming, or parents or friends, and there's an issue and there's asking for help. Yeah, help will happen, you know. There's nothing against helping. That's just the natural happening. So this includes helping or not helping. This is not about not helping, you know, or helping. Helping or not helping happens innocently as everything, you know. So there can be a drive to help, but this drive can also not be there, but there's no one apart from that drive or from the lack of the drive to help. You know, the passion is free, it's innocent, it's just arising. It can be very intense. There can be an intense passion to help until it doesn't, and until it just dissolves. But there's no you apart from the helping or the not helping, as a you being a separated doer of the help.
Yeah, I think that's important, because I think it can be easy for people who help to think that they're somehow special or better than people who don't. You know, if someone's sitting watching TV all day, it could be quite easy to say, oh, well, they're not doing that, you know.
Yeah, Claire, but also this, you know, I'm special because I'm helping, or I'm special because I'm not helping, may arise. It's unavoidable, you know, this, I mean, so this, even the sense of specialness, I've got it or I don't got it, or I'm the one who's helping, or I'm free of this or I'm not free of that. You know, it's all just, so this sense of specialness may arise. And it's okay. Even a sense of specialness may arise. So there's nothing to do about it.
Sweetheart, it's beyond okay.
Is there anything that isn't okay?
No, it's okay. No. Nothing is okay here, you know? I cannot, I'm always, I love to disagree always. Like when we say everything is okay, well, it's what it is. I wouldn't go and say it's okay, you know?
Well,
shit happens. Wow.
Language is limiting, isn't it?
Exactly.
Well,
It's just like the language. Let's put it like this. Everything which is coming out is already a misunderstanding.
Yes.
So it's really about not just blah 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 the whole time, blah 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 blah. It doesn't matter if you get it like this, the blah blah, or like this, and then thinking like this. It doesn't matter. That's it.
So, but here can also be a misunderstanding. It's not about seeing that everything is okay or reaching a state where you
Acceptance
are in an acceptance of everything, because there's no separated you in a state of non-existent acceptance, able to move to acceptance. So saying there's no problem with war or saying there's a problem of war, both is equally innocently just simply what is. It's already just what it is. So this is not about becoming okay with the world. There's no separated you able to become okay with everything, already not being okay as something which is apart from whatever is happening. So there's no you in a state of not being okay, able to become okay. At the same time, becoming okay with certain happenings may happen.
Yeah.
As innocently as not being okay, as innocently as not liking this or not agreeing or resonating or trying to argue. It's just simply what
The
happens.
directness of what is.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say it's lovely to talk to both of you, because there's this, you seem to sort of get something, but you're both going to say, oh, there's no difference, or that's a story, or it's a wonderful way to live.
It's full on getting and not getting at the same time, because there is something. It's just simply nothing to get. I love the expression which Zander threw out. I don't know how many months ago. Like, it's just how the cookie crumbles, and I love it. I just love it.
I mean, beating your wife or your kids is not okay.
At the same time, it's what happens.
At the same time, what happens, as is thinking it's okay or suggesting it's not okay, in itself is just simply okay, as in it's what it is, whatever seems to arise.
Morality can be a real sticking point, and I think it's really language and words are so limiting, because, like you say, there are things that aren't okay, and the law would agree with us, but then there are people who think certain things are okay. I'm sure the guy who's beating his wife thinks that's okay. There are sort of stories people tell about things.
Innocently so. So there can be an idea that, so there can be a thought or a conclusion or an idea or an assumption arising that my wife, like not my wife, but deserves a beating. These ideas and these assumptions and these thoughts and these conclusions may arise. That's how it seems to work. The idea that someone deserves a beating may just simply arise, and not liking this as a suggestion may arise, or not, or agreeing.
It's a very resistant point, that, isn't it? People want to say categorically no to certain things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is okay, of course, yes.
Rosa, so I think I might have interrupted you.
No. I was just thinking about, for example, a murder, like a killer. Well, it's just killing happening and then imprisonment, or maybe whatever, naturally so, in the system. Yeah.
But this whole dialogue, this whole, let's call it an inner, inner storytelling, that someone needs to die because that
The
someone
relation.
is less than me, and that's because of this and because of this, that this whole story is innocently flowing. So assumption, conclusion, why someone is less, because maybe of skin color, and agreeing and believing that to be a reality which is absolute, may just simply arise as an following this inner dialogue, which is also innocent. So it's not a part. The yes to a thought is just another thought innocently saying yes to another thought. So there's a thought arising, this person is less than me, I have to kill him. Then there's an internal yes. It's not internal, it's not external. There's an internal yes or no, innocently flowing. There's no you behind the yes or the no to certain thoughts. And the yes or the no is just another innocent thought flowing. So there may be an actual belief, but there may be a belief that of superiority. So I'm better because, so then there's an assumption, a conclusion, because this, and that. And this because this and that is just based on innocent assumptions, conclusions arising spontaneously.
You guys are going to get in trouble one day. Well, you're not really, because you never say anything controversial, either of you. It's actually quite lovely, because I think you're the least likely to actually get in trouble for what you're saying, because you don't have a point of view. It's the people who sort of categorically say that's wrong. I feel like they're the ones who actually will be more likely to be challenged than people like you guys who say, you know, there's no answer. You're not resisting anything at all, are you?
Yeah, and it's okay.
Okay.
So I totally agree. When if someone says that is wrong, son, you got it completely wrong. There's nothing wrong with, there's no here wanting to convince anyone. This doesn't need to convince anyone to see it in that way or not, because we can call this a way of seeing, but it's not actually, there's no one seeing it in a certain way. This is also just another idea, belief, assumption, conclusion that it seems to be how it seems to be expressed.
Can I ask you both a question?
Oh yeah.
Of course.
Because you just don't have an ego. It's so lovely and refreshing. And I'm just wondering, how do you feel like sharing anything about your stories? Because I mean, this is just such a beautiful way to chat and to converse right now.
Sweetheart Claire, I did not finish with you, girl. I want to hear more.
Oh, all right.
I'm still curious. Yeah, I mean, you're playing the ball back. Yeah, of course. I can tell a lot of stories, but I was just actually curious about to hear more about you. Like, let's continue with Eckhart Tolle.
Okay.
What was, how did it play out? Yeah, what was fascinating you, or what is the drive in a way? What's the highest excitement?
The drive was to be like this sort of, and I've got to stop saying you guys like there's some sort of strange separation between us here, but you know, I did put people on kind of pedestals. You know, I would see people like Eckhart talking, and there's a chap who lives in my city here in the UK, Rupert Spira, who some people might be aware of. And I would go to some of his meetings and, you know, listen to him talk. And I got sort of completely dewy-eyed. You know, he'd come into the room and I'd be like, oh, it's a real live deity. You know, this complete sort of projection of something onto him, which is always in me all along. But for some reason, seeing it externalized kind of gave me hope that there were people who existed in the real world who lived in the way that I kind of wanted to live in. And it was like, well, that's the answer, you know, because I've been looking for answers since I was 9 years old. You know, I used to read self-help books in the school library because I knew that I was suffering and I didn't know why. And I would be reading all these things about, okay, well, do I have this personality disorder? Do I have this one? And yes, probably, but what am I bloody going to do about it? You know, I was trying to fix all these things about myself. I went to, you know, loads of therapy. I literally tried everything. You know, everyone can just stop with all the hypnotherapy, with all the meditation, with all the psychotherapy, with the aromatherapy, acupuncture, reflexology, Reiki. I don't CBT, walking groups, support groups. I don't think there's anything I haven't tried, quite honestly.
Wow.
But
So we can say there was a lot of pressure, like suffering.
I mean, I don't think it could have got any worse. But then the only thing that actually made sense was those men. They were all men, I think. Oh no, Byron Katie. I really resonated with her as well. And it was almost like something about them was sort of opened up the door to something that was beyond the suffering. It was greater than the suffering. It was like, okay, well, I can just relax and they'll breathe a sigh of relief, like you were saying when you read Stillness Speaks, you know. Gosh, there was just something in reading these books or something that kind of spoke to the part of me that was whole and healthy.
Claire, hold it. I will remember like what those. Okay, I just want to put in here in a way. I know what you're saying, but of course my story is different. But there was also a lot of suffering, and the crucial point, in a way, we can say, therapy, we're in the therapy, the therapeutical thing which helped here was to see that it's done already. The suffering, every idea, every pain in the body, whatever, that's it. That's it. Exactly as it is. This was, in a way, this was not an acceptance, but this was just seen. And then it was just confronting myself, so to say, again and again and again with this. And then there was just, what's happening? I was too much in the whole thing. And this was, in a way, a point, you know? And now back to your, like, you resonated so much with Eckhart, Byron Katie, Rupert Spira, because it was kind of beyond suffering.
And as you say, you sort of get to a point where it's like, well, actually, it's in me. You know, why is he different? Why are you guys different? Why are the people on, you know, non-duality videos different? Why do we create this sort of them and us? Why do we say, well, they've got it, they've got something? You sort of get to a point where you just you're like, well, it's not there. They can't have anything I don't have. I don't know what it is, because I've met people from my country, my gender, my age, you know, and it's like, okay, well, I've got all this. Surely, what can you have that I don't have? Exactly. You kind of have to. You reach the end of the road. I think is that sort of what I think it sounds like we all got to with that.
And how, sweetheart?
It's also, you know, this idea or this belief that someone else got it. You know, it's so innocent. It's just, you know, it's unavoidable, I would say, or unavoidable. It's just, so this belief, because in a way it's always objectified, you know, there's someone who got it. This is just how it plays, how it seems to function. At the same time, there can also be the opposite, you know, that person is still acting from an ego. So it's both, you know, it can both arise, the idea that someone got it compared to me, and then there's an innocent analyzing and reflecting why that person, so-called other, got it instead of me. Then there's a whole analyzing process, innocently comparing parts, gestures, actions, speaking, and then out of that rises the conclusion that that person got it and I still don't get it and I have work to do. And there's nothing.
And this I call perfection.
So it's also, it's beautiful, but it's just so
innocent.
Yes,
it's just exactly as it has to be. Of course, otherwise it wouldn't be. And this is so obvious.
Until it stops, you know, it can be very intense. There can be, you know, it can be quite extreme, and it can, you know, it can just simply drop. This whole idea that someone got it, or that there are others who have it, and I'm not having it because of this or this or this or that. It can just simply stop. But there's no you in between as a doer of one or the other. It's beautiful.
We all like to identify with stories, don't we? We all like to say,
there is no way out but this identification with it's just how it plays beautifully. So nothing wrong with this.
Yeah, and at the same time, it can be hurtful also. You know, this can be it can be like devastating. You know, when there's the whole time this comparison going on between you and so-called others. It can be tiring, and it can
comparison is pain. Comparison is suffering. In a way.
Well, do you think we ought to talk about it then? Because, you know, like when Eckhart talked about his grand awakening experience when he was in his late 20s, I was like, oh, well, I've got to recreate that for my... So it's like, why the bloody hell did he mention that to me? Because it actually was really not helpful, because it made me think I had to sort of be in a particular state of mind to get to the place he got to, you know?
Well, there's always,
why not?
Of course, you have
why
to
not?
go
It's
to the dark night of the soul. You know, at least twice you have to go through the dark night of the soul. That's the idea, you know. when it comes to Eckhart Tolle or when it comes to Byron Katie, cockroaches crawling over the foot and cocaine use, so there seems to be a point of no return where it just crumbles, you know, where it can just seems to flip or dissolve at once, you know, and this may give the idea that something needs to happen first, you know, I have to go to the lowest point or, but all that is just another story in a way.
There's a quite dangerous story to think you have to suffer in order to.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen this on the internet also where people claim, well, I went to the dark night of the soul 2 times at least before I saw it. You know, I mean, yeah.
Because I don't think you need to do anything. That's essentially what we're saying.
Well, I mean, it's
Doing
funny
is happening.
because this is a dangerous thing, you know, because non-duality can be heard as, well, okay, so I just don't have to do anything. I can just sit and let my life go because I'm already not there. But this is a misunderstanding for me.
That's bypassing.
Yeah, because I mean, there is not a separated you doing or not doing, you know, there's no you able to not do. I mean, the trying to not do may happen, to sit on the couch, and maybe this will seem to happen for a week until getting up and doing something else may happen, right? I mean, this is not about just sitting on the couch and doing nothing. I mean, who would be there to be the doer of nothing as a separated you, able to do nothing? I mean, doing nothing and doing everything and believing that you are the doer or the absence of that belief is already not done by a separated you outside of the idea that there's a you doing something or nothing.
Yeah. And then things are simple. It's what is.
I think I read somewhere when I was sort of doing all this research, which was that a good thing to meditation is a good thing to do. You know, if your mind is very busy, quiet, do that's a good activity. That's sort of, you know, because yeah, I'm gonna botch the translation, but it was something along the lines of if you don't know what to do, that's a good thing to do. Sit and meditate, sit and work towards being still. That's something that's quite, you know.
There are definitely a lot for people who are suffering. And in a way, I also saw, you know, it's funny. When I came in touch with non-duality, I saw, like, I came from this therapeutic teacher thing, like going through the emotion until it was just nothing but this. And then I heard like the radical non-dual speakers and blah. And I saw like the people watching this, and I really was like, they were always saying, well, still fear and panic, and I don't like this, and anger, and but, you know, the whole time like this fight. And I was like, wow, I wonder if they tried this therapy, you know. I would really say, well, go to therapy if you like. But they were completely, and I tried in a way with, I don't know, maybe two, just to see. And they were, oh, come on, leave me with this. I tried it already. It's bullshit, you know, therapy. It's just, okay, you know, because for me it was so obvious that with some very easy tools, you can help yourself, so to say, you know, if but there is simply no choice in like just listening only to radical non, there is no me, and you know, just okay, shit, here is still a me, here is still or resonating with what's wrong with your fear. That's it, you know. And this is so beautifully playing out, and I saw that there is I could just see the joke in the whole thing, you know. And perfection.
Nothing wrong with meditation. I mean, as far as things, you know, as far as thoughts, claims, assumptions, conclusions, and beliefs are suggesting, meditation seems to be helpful. Like also eating is helpful, going to the toilet, maybe working, all those types of things seems to have a function. That's just how it functions.
Yeah.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with meditation or yoga, whatever activity.
I think it goes back to that denying the humanity to a degree, you know, denying our reality. If you can get caught up in all the non-duality concepts, you deny the fact that you're a human, and that's quite that's what Rosa, you were saying about you can kind of get.
Yeah, but I was able to see the beauty in this, you know. I was able to see the suffering, the people, so-called people suffering, and I there was the slight idea just to because of my experience, yeah, just to show them a little bit, just, you know, because whether there's a resonance or not, you just simply drop it in the conversation, and then, like, I was like, oh wow, cool, I love it, you know. And then maybe this, and I simply saw that it's hopeless already. Maybe I'm going to mention this nearby, like, you know, on the periphery, or not. I would never go and say, oh, you need help, you know. Oh, whoa, it's really bad.
But that is the help, Rose. And I think actually what I noticed a lot on the Facebook group is that even just sometimes the energy that you put forward, a little comment with, you don't, maybe someone doesn't even need to go to therapy. Maybe it's just the sort of the fact that you've suggested that they do, that it's all the therapy they need. I don't know if that resonates. That it's just that energy that you kind of come at an interaction with, that can be the healing. That's all it is.
Well, it's just like ping pong, reading something, boom, or like here, there's simply no idea what's going to come next.
Yeah.
Or even if misunderstanding you, sweetheart, you know, and just replying something, that's it.
Yeah.
It's just like blah 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 blah, a song, you know, singing. We cannot, if we start to sing now, la 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 la, it just, you know, yeah, so simple, so beautiful. And yeah,
that's healing. It's just love. It's just life. You know, life takes care of itself. Life heals itself.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's completely itself already. I mean, yeah.
Already is good. I love already.
Yeah,
I
and
love
the
direct.
funny thing is, I mean, there isn't a thing, you know. It's also funny, there isn't a thing which is life, like an object in time and space. You know, there's not a fixed thing with borders and edges and weight and, you know, like something which you can hold, which is apart from this. You know, this is life already, I would say. The idea that there is life or no life is already life. What else?
Here,
It's nothing but life.
listening to this now live, I just remembered I was walking. I was going out because it was stunning weather, sunshine, -5 degrees, but or something like. But it was beautiful, and I was in the central station, sweetheart, you know it, and there were those ladies standing there, die Zeugen Jehovah's, the witness of Jehovah, or how are they called? And they're always standing there. And I sometimes, when I'm busy, I have to pass, and when I have time, I just stop and chat with them.
But they turn away when they see you coming.
Funny, because they're holding their prospects, and there's just like about God, about be a friend. Today it was like I just was like, oh, okay, be the best friend of God. And I was just like passing by, and they just
You did a beeline.
It's funny that you mentioned Rosa, because me and my wife are looking. I don't know if it's on Netflix, maybe not, but it's a documentary about Jehovah Witness. It's about a guy, he's studying cults, and he made a documentary about Jehovah's and sexual abuse within the group and people not saying and not coming out for it. And yeah, but then again, you know, this is, you know, the belief in God or the disbelief.
Of course, that's it. But never,
really, right?
totally. But here's the joke. Like seeing them indirectly, of course, like actually not seeing them, going, you know, passing by because it's what to see. And then never, in spite of this, I just read the words, and then, okay, my friend, be the best friend of God. And I was like, oh my gosh, what a beauty, what a beautiful bullshit. And then going back And seeing those three ladies, there was no one there. That's why I said, let's. And I was like, you know what? I would love to share with you something. Is it okay? And they were like, yeah, of course. I mean, come on, they are bored anyways. And this is just like entertaining. It's just like the whole time you're entertaining yourself. I can put it like this. It's we can say it's just everything is me already. I can only see myself. So there is really no sense of separation. So I was there, and then I was like, you know what? I had an experience. I was wondering how to put it. Is it your doggy or your cat?
It's a cat, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Cat.
No, cool. And I don't know, it was funny. It was funny. I of course, when I asked the question, why are you stopping now here and talking to them? Why not? This is so cool. It's like a theater. It's like a game. And this is in a way the whole time, and I just noticed that it's on daily basis or in a very normal job, wherever I am, when I'm buying in the shop something,
Yeah.
always coming out, but it just in such a innocent way, like the directness of what is, no separation, no matter how it's coming,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
this is in a way, I'm just, that's why I'm sharing. It's kind of a joke. What are we talking? This is not worth mentioning. And there is nothing wrong them staying there with their God and I don't know what. I'm not so much into the religion there, but nevertheless there was this innocent stopping and sharing a small story. And then they were like, thanks for sharing.
And
And
it's
yes, thanks for
beautiful.
sharing.
This when there is this belief that God is the savior, and there's a genuine, I know it's true, there's a God, then, out of that passion and compassion, you want to, tell others about God, and if you join us, you will be saved. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
and like the resonating, the walking by and the innocently, the head turning and then the interest arising or the interest or the absence of that interest, I thought, oh, that you have those cult people again, I don't want to talk with them, or anything may happen, it's just free to play our
No, this was actually, now that you're mentioning this, sweetheart, this was actually passing by, feeling this. There was not a resistance, but just the idea, what a bullshit. Then the brain processing the sentence, be the best friend of God, and then stopping and turning back, but not to hit
How
them,
quickly
not
it
to
can
punch
change.
them, not to punch them in the face, but to kiss them, actually, to give them a big kiss. Of course, it's like this. How can you not stand there with this thing and claim?
Well,
So beautiful.
Michael Marker would say it's I call him also lovingly the brain guy. It's there's just the brain in the way. There's no one in the brain, doing the braining. So the brain, you say the brain is like seeing the sentence, which is also the
Yeah, just
seeing the seeing, and then doing something with it, and then out
processing
of
the
that,
whole stuff, like reading,
yeah.
being able to read those letters, and then a couple of seconds later, even stopping and going back and seeing the joke in this. I
Yeah,
mean,
which
come
is the
on,
brain,
it's
which is the brain already. This is already, there's nothing more than the brain. You can say it's
yeah.
all the brain, but there's no one doing the braining. It's just, so we can say there's just a naked functioning.
And then let's put the word energy into this. And this was so beautiful. This was such a beautiful dance. 3 minutes dancing. Such a beautiful energy.
Mhm.
Yeah, just is. There is simply no plan. It's chaos, confusion. It's booming. There is no sense in this already. It's so obvious. And having the idea that everything is making sense and there is a structure behind it, and that the structure is giving me security, or like the strength to keep it up, to control the show, that's it already. But here it's very obvious that there is no way to start to control anything. And I just remember I said to them, you know, I just noticed, did someone ask me if I want to come here into this life, having this life, being born? No. Do I know my next thought? No. I even cannot decide to fall asleep at night. Fuck, what's this? You know? They were watching like, oh my gosh, she's crazy.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny because that conclusion may arise. The thought, what they are thinking, is just a thought that they are thinking thoughts. They
I
have
had no
thoughts
time. I
about
had no time for this thought. I had no time for, because it was so boomy. Afterwards, maybe. But no, they were kind of happy, and we agreed, both of us, like all of us said, thanks for sharing. Yeah. Children playing, you know? It's so innocent. It's just very childish. It's very, yeah, it's very innocent. Naive. I can also say it's naive, you know?
That's
There is,
another thing Michael talks a lot about as well. You know, the kind of when you interact with people in public, it's just and he says he's never been met aggressively by anyone because it's just that sort of playful, innocent energy that you approach people with. That how could they possibly be aggressive, or how could they resist that when it's comes from that beautiful, playful place?
exactly, yes.
And like, yeah, it's just that energy. Yeah. Yeah.
Were there any beliefs? Were there any beliefs, Claire? Like religion-based, God.
Yeah, I had a very Catholic upbringing for me. So also I might have to grab my charger in a minute because I've got 21%, but it might be okay. Yeah, so that sort of God is watching kind of thing, and God was very much an external thing to me. So I remember stealing a biscuit from the cupboard when I was about 8 or 9, and thinking in my head, oh, you better not do this because God is watching. You know, this sort of idea that there's someone who can see what I'm doing.
Oh my
And I
gosh.
think, yeah. So
This is
it's,
brutal.
well, I don't think it was meant in a bad way, because there's a lot of nice messages in religion, I'm sure. Well, there are, you know, it wasn't sort of intended to sort of cause so many of the problems that it did cause. But unfortunately for me, it caused this sort of deep-seated idea that there's something sinful or shameful just in the fact that we're
Yeah.
here as humans. You know,
Yeah.
the fact that we were born is a sin, I think, and, you know, Catholicism, everything is a sin. And there's no escape as well. You know, there's the priest at the front, and, you know, we'll get started on him. But, you know, he's the only one who has this, a bit like the non-duality speakers. You know, there's certain people who have it, you know, they're ordained, they're chosen by God, and you don't even want to be like them. So there's literally no escape. It's a real it's a trap. It feels like you're totally trapped, that kind of religious upbringing and that religious way of thinking. So here's my cat.
And
Yeah, sweet.
so the belief. So was there a belief in God to be, like you said, like a watcher, So there was a certain belief that there was something outside watching.
It wasn't a belief, it was a fact. That's how strong it was.
Okay. Where's
Yeah.
that fact now then?
Your reality, it was the reality of Claire.
Where's
Where,
that?
where's the fact now?
um it's not there as much, but there's sort of, yeah, there's not really anything kind of watching so much. It's all sort of it's a lot more internal now. It's almost like, well, yes, there is something that's aware, but the awareness is sort of within me. I'm aware of the conversation I'm having with you. I'm aware of everything that's going on now. There's no one watching me, there's me watching myself.
Which is
That's a very,
awareness already. I would say that awareness is a loop of knowing. I'm here, and inside there's something which is aware, or I am, and there's something which is aware that I am. So awareness is in a way nothing more than an innocent loop of knowing. I'm Claire, Sander's there, Rosa's there. In the past, there were thoughts or facts about God. And this is, I would say there's nothing but an innocent loop of knowing or an automatic stream of happenings, which you can call awareness. There's nothing besides awareness. There's nothing besides this automatic innocent stream of happenings, as is this already. This is not outside of this stream. This is the stream of happenings innocently. Claiming them to be innocently is not something else. It's already this part of this automatic stream. But to say part of it is not completely because it has no parts.
I've always, I don't know, Rose, you wanted, I've always got a sort of tendency to just go, okay, when I don't completely understand something. But there's obviously this part of me that's trying to figure out what you've said. My brain is kind of, what's Sander saying now? What's he on? So there's obviously.
Oh, that's it, I would say. It's, this trying to figure it out. Chris is calling.
So, Claire, sweetheart, so there is now this from this external observer, someone is watching you. You are now watching yourself, like being aware of what I'm doing, speaking, sitting. Sander, Claire, there is this observer. And this was a praxis I learned when I was very young, because in a way it was helpful for me. So I started with the awareness, being aware of what is in every movement, everything. And this, I internalized this. It just got like breathing, And then this thing collapsed. And yeah, just simply may stop for no reason. And it's beautiful. It's nothing wrong with this. All right. But I never had it like you had it from the outside. Like I've been watched. This I never had. Yeah. This story wasn't playing out here. Yeah.
I think, sorry, Sander, you were gonna.
Go ahead.
I think there's also, when you grow up with religion, there's that real aversion to being God or being the one who's aware. So to sort of say that that's not anything outside, that's me, that feels like, blasphemy. You're not allowed to be anything.
Okay. Oh my gosh, crazy.
But in a way, in some religions, they say, well, there's just God. So in a way, believing that there is a God or not is God already. What else?
Yeah, you're right. It's very difficult to talk about it though, because the word God is so loaded, and
Heavy.
it comes with a lot of emotional, resistance. A lot of people put a lot of emotional weight in that word.
Yeah.
So I mean, we can say there's just this, but we can also say there's just awareness or there's just God. There's just simply nothing outside or separated from this. And calling this God or awareness or energy or the brain, is this already? It's already not two.
It's so funny, isn't it, how certain words seem to, the combination of just a simple combination of words seems to, yeah, there's certain combinations that for some reason just resonate and others that don't, and it's
Yeah, of course.
It's with liking ice cream or chocolate cake. It's so innocent. I mean, it's just what's happening. So there's a joy for chocolate cake instead of ice cream. It's the same with words. And at the same time, so here I can never decide how this can be heard because it's impossible. There's no one actually hearing this as a separated you. There's just the processing, which has nothing to do with you or you.
And also no one already saying this as a separated you.
So yeah, so it's heard as it's heard. We talked about this before. So is loved as it loved or not loved? So certain words, like you said, the word God seems to have a lot to it, you know? And we can say this is because of religion or upbringing, or, you know, the word is loaded. But the whole idea or the loading of the word is spontaneously. It's, you know, it's just how it seems to have played out. That certain words, but there is not you as something outside of the language scope who has loaded this word or who has made it in that way. It's just simply how it evolved innocently, so that certain word seems not to be loved or not to be liked. And of course we can the conclusion, it's because of my upbringing, because I've heard this, and you know, this being a logical thing, therefore it is like that. That conclusion is also just simply what it is. I mean, many seem to want to put logic to this. It's because, you know, when it's logical, when I understand it logical, I can do
Yep.
something with it, and then I can get somewhere with it. And if I get it, then I can understand myself more and stuff like that. Then I can heal my trauma and blah, blah, blah.
Understanding is in a way to control the show.
Yes,
The more I understand, the more I can control.
when I get it, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is okay, you know, the need for understanding. So there may be, you know, a need to understand life, you know, to get it. I want to get life. I want to understand life. I want to figure out how life functions, how I'm functioning. You know, I have to know myself, all these types of things. I go on a soul journey and journey to my inner self until it doesn't, you know, until it just crumbles, you know, and this can, you know, happen with drugs, with reading books, with going to meetings, and, you know, until it just simply either there's an idea, okay, there's nothing to find, that's just a new idea, it's just a new conclusion, okay, there's nothing to find. Or I have found it, you know, I have found it, or there's nothing to find. It's not something else, it's just the next thing which simply arises, the conclusion, okay, this is it. I mean, this is it doesn't say anything more than 3 words. This is it. There's nothing more to it. I mean, it's you cannot go
Yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm gonna have to jump off because I think my laptop's about to die and the cats are also pestering me for food.
Claire, sweetheart, so cool, so nice chat. Thank you for this. Thank you for the time. Let's stay in touch. And Sander also, yeah, beautiful. I'm totally enjoying. Yeah, I totally enjoyed the chat, and yeah, thanks.
Thank you guys.
Thank you
Wish
for the
you
chat.
Lovely.
wish you a beautiful evening, and I love you. Mwah.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.